Breaking tonight, reaction pouring into President Trump's bombshell allegations against the man who preceded him in the White House. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. What a day it's been. The president setting off a firestorm in the media early this morning, making direct accusations against his predecessor, President Barack Obama. President Trump tweeting at 6:35 a.m. that he, quote, just found out that Mr. Obama had ordered wiretaps of Trump Tower just before the November election, a claim for which the current president did, quote, not offer any proof. The president went on to indicate that Obama had had an earlier request for surveillance turned down by a court. President Trump compared the whole thing to a Nixon Watergate-style crime and cover-up and called his predecessor, quote, a bad or sick guy, close quote. And for his part, former President Obama's office or spokesman did release a statement on behalf of the former president saying, quote, a cardinal rule of the Obama administration was that no White House official ever interfered with any independent investigation led by the Department of Justice. As part of that practice, neither President Obama nor any White House official ever ordered surveillance on any U.S. citizen. Any suggestion otherwise is simply false. The White House so far has been mum on all of this. So let's try to get to the bottom of it tonight. Joining me now is former Trump campaign manager, the man who engineered Donald Trump's run to the Republican nomination, Corey Lewandowski. All right, good evening, Corey. Crazy day today. You probably know President Trump better than anyone in terms of your experience with him from the time he first announced until about a year or so later when you got off the campaign. When the president tweeted at 6:35 this morning, would it be unusual for the rest of his staff to not have any idea what he was tweeting about or any forewarning?
You know, Judge, it wouldn't be unusual because the president is a man who is willing to take his message directly to the American people. And there were many times during the campaign where I would wake up, and I'm sure it's the same thing that Sean Spicer wakes up to and says, wow, the president just tweeted. So it's not unusual that he has taken his message directly to the American people without consulting his White House staff or prior to that, the campaign staff.
Okay, so here's the problem. We have been waiting all day for any kind of response from the White House. We are still waiting, and there is no backup, no evidence, no support for that claim, which is, I'm sure you know, is quite an incredible allegation to have one president accuse another president of a Nixon-type wiretapping.
Yeah, but Judge, here's the issue. What we've seen from the previous administration is that they did spend time listening to conversations between then Senator Jeff Sessions and the ambassador to Russia while he was in his U.S. Senate office. If that were to take place, which supposedly did take place, what other conversations did they listen in on from the American public?
That they were listening to conversations between then Senator Sessions and the Russian ambassador Kislyak? Or are you talking about Mike Flynn and Kislyak?
No, I'm talking about Jeff Sessions. So, you know, this previous administration has said that they were aware of the conversation on two different occasions where then Senator Jeff Sessions met with the ambassador, one time during the Republican National Convention, but more importantly, the second time that he met with was in the United States Senate office in a federal building, and they were monitoring what a United States senator was having a private conversation with, is what I understand. And if that is the case, that's very concerning. And so is it possible that that previous administration was listening to the conversations that took place in Trump Tower from their political opponents? If that is the case, and what Donald Trump alludes to is accurate, then that's very, very disturbing for our future going forward of what the federal government has done to the American public. Well,
right now, I am unaware of any claim of them listening to a conversation as opposed to being aware of a meeting between then Senator Sessions and Ambassador Kislyak, which, by the way, Corey, I mean, I don't think there's any problem with it. I mean, the senator met with 25 other ambassadors in the same year, and there are public photographs of them together. I mean, no one's trying to hide anything, and he met with him as a senator. But I want to keep moving on this Watergate type thing. Now, for the feds for the FISA court to issue this warrant, and then for it to be denied, and then for them to go back, does it surprise you that the Obama administration was doing everything in its power to monitor what was going on at Trump Tower?
Well, Judge, here's the problem. We don't even know for sure that the former Department of Justice under Attorney General Lynch, actually applied for a FISA court warrant in June, which is what some of the mainstream media is reporting, and then was denied, and then applied for a second FISA warrant in October, and potentially was granted that. If that did occur, that's very troubling. The fact that the Federal Intelligence Surveillance Act is being used to listen to political opponents of the President of the United States is very, very damaging, very dangerous. And just think for 1 second, just for one iota, if George W. Bush would have used the same thing to listen to Barack Obama when he was a candidate, when he was, spending time with people who have talked about bombing, a number of places, like Jeremiah Wright. Think of the outrage of the mainstream media if for 1 second President George W. Bush asked, or his Justice Department asked, for a FISA warrant on then-candidate Barack Obama, what the mainstream media would be doing today.
Right,
if that didn't happen, there's a serious problem.
I want to get to some of the facts here about this guy, Carter Page. Carter Page was on the campaign, and some of these reports are indicating that Paul Manafort, as well as Carter Page, had other contacts with the Russian government, and they may be the basis for the FISA warrant. And by the way, I'm going to make clear with my next guest, former Attorney General Mike Mukasey, that it isn't necessarily the FBI that makes the application and the Department of Justice. It could be the NSA. It could be other intelligence agencies. But Carter Page was someone who came on the campaign for Trump while you were there. This is a man who supposedly, where there's admitted Russian connections. What can you tell us about this man?
Judge, let me be clear about two things. Number one, Paul Manafort's role in the campaign was to go and get some delegates for the Trump campaign while we were in the middle of a delegate fight with Senator Cruz. That was the role of his job on the campaign. Secondly, Carter Page, I've never met Carter Page. To the best of my knowledge, the President of the United States has never met Carter Page. Carter Page is a person who's going out telling everybody that he was part of the campaign. He had no formal role in the campaign. He had no role whatsoever in the campaign. He had nothing to do with the campaign.
Wasn't he a foreign policy advisor?
He had no, Judge, I was on the campaign for 18 months. I never met the guy. And for anybody to say otherwise is factually inaccurate. I don't know who Carter Page is. I never had a conversation with Carter Page. I never met Carter Page. And anybody who says otherwise is just not being truthful. And let me tell you this. A lot of people now want to claim that they were on the Trump campaign because he was now the President of the United States, right, who had nothing to do with the campaign. And Carter Page is one of those guys.
Okay. And is it possible that if there were the warrant issued, and it seems to be based on open source reporting that there was this warrant issued, that it could be simply, benign communications between a computer, a server in Trump Tower, and a Russian bank, whether it be emails or anything like that?
Well, of course that's possible. And the bottom line is, Judge, and you know this and I know this, anybody who potentially had communications with the Russian government to potentially, if they wanted to impact the outcome of the U.S. election, I am certain that the government, the President of the United States would say that person should be prosecuted. There's no place for this whatsoever in our system. There's no question.
You know what? And Paul Ryan seems to confirm that based upon the intelligence that he got after the president ordered the investigation, there was no indication, no substance that any American was cooperating with the Russian government. And that's based on a statement by Paul Ryan last night. Anyway, Corey Lewandowski, thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. And joining me now to dig deeper into these allegations made by President Trump is former Attorney General of the United States, Judge Michael Mukasey. All right, Judge, I'm going to ask you some very general questions. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, now, there are reports that there were 2 applications made to a FISA court, one that was denied and the second that was granted, one denied in June. Now, Judge, would you agree with me that applications to the FISA courts are, according to everything that I've read and former attorneys who've applied for these, are almost always granted, so a denial must be based on, you know, a real lack of any facts? Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, statistically, they are almost always granted for the simple reason that the Justice Department is generally pretty conservative about what it puts in, which is to say, it tries to create as much of to establish as much probable cause as it can. But the fact that it was denied means there was very little there. What's interesting is that application mentions the name Trump, although it's not clear in what connection.
Okay.
And that application was denied.
Okay, that's denied. So they go back. The Obama administration goes back. Whether it's the FBI or NSA, we don't know who goes back to the FISA court. And in fact, what's amazing...
It's got to be the FBI, because they're the ones with the jurisdiction to conduct this kind of surveillance inside the United States.
Okay, so if the FBI does it and the FBI makes that second application and takes Trump's name out of it, it is granted in October. Now, is there always a requirement of probable cause? It's very different than a requirement for a wire in a regular criminal case. Isn't that correct?
There's a requirement of probable cause, but it's probable cause of a different sort. In a criminal case, it's probable cause that a crime was committed,
right,
and probable cause that the wiretap will disclose evidence of it. But this is not that. The only thing they have to show is probable cause to believe that somebody on that wire is acting as an agent of a foreign power. Now, this may very well have had, and likely did have, nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Trump, because there were allegations about Manafort getting money from from Putin's puppet in the Ukraine and so on that go way back.
But Judge, I want to stop you there, because Manafort was not even on the campaign in the first application to the FISA court. Manafort did not come on until after Corey was gone.
Okay.
So
the first application was not granted.
Right, exactly. It was the second one that was granted. So now, how would we at this point get our hands on that FISA warrant?
We wouldn't, because the fact that this is out is extraordinarily unusual. FISA activity generally is, number one, highly confidential, and number two, for very good reason, because first of all, we don't want foreign powers or terrorist organizations to find out that we're eavesdropping. And second, we don't want to damage people's reputation if it turns out that there's nothing there.
All right. Now, Judge, in the last day of the Obama administration, in the last days, the president ended up expanding the powers of the NSA, the National Security Agency, to share information with about 16 other agencies. By tearing down the bureaucratic barriers and sharing intelligence, supposedly, with other agencies, many would think that's a good thing. But there are those who feel that this was a tee-up, a setup, so that there could indeed be these kinds of leaks that never before would have occurred, but because there are so many more players involved, that Donald Trump was almost set up once the Obama administration was gone by those people who were still in the government with access to this information.
That is not an implausible theory, because pushing this out in an extraordinary way, particularly when very little, I mean, we're not talking about a terrorist investigation, particularly when very little came of it, I think is pretty unusual.
All right. And my final question. When the President Obama ended up kicking out a number of Russian officials, I believe there were about 35 Russian operatives, he did not throw out this Ambassador Kislyak, who Jeff Sessions, as senator, met with, which wasn't unusual for him to meet with an ambassador. Why is there all this hoopla about Kislyak being a bad guy? If he was so bad, why didn't Obama throw him out?
No, the hoopla is contrived. Kislyak may very well be a bad guy. I mean, he was a Russian ambassador. But the point is, he is the Russian ambassador, and that appointment with Sessions was set up by the Justice Department, by the State Department, Obama's State Department, as they set up all his other appointments with foreign officials.
Okay. Judge Michael Mukasey, thanks so much for joining us and shedding light on this.
Happy to be with you.
Thank you, Judge. And we're just getting started on this very busy news day. The panel standing by to weigh in on all of this. But next, former Department of Justice official J. Christian Adams is here live to talk more about where any order for these alleged wiretaps could have come from. And later, it was one of the most emotional and moving moments that we've seen in a political speech that I can remember. And what these two guys said about it got me quite mad. I just had to get some street justice. You can't miss this week's edition. Stay with us as justice rolls on.